In the history of spaceflight, only 4 entities have launched a space capsule into orbit and successfully brought it back to the Earth: the United States, Russia, China, and Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elon Musk.
I think Elon Musk looks at the world as it could be. How extraordinary could it be for all of us to rocket to Mars? How could it be if we all ran on power that was generated from the sun? How could it be if our cars went 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds?
These companies are across diverse industries: automobiles, rockets, internet companies. He even started a software company when he was 12 and sold it successfully. So he has had 3 proven successes under his belt, 3 more that look like screaming home runs if you include Solar City, where he's chairman. I don't know of anyone on the planet who's had that string of success over such a diverse set of industries.
I would say probably he's the Leonardo da Vinci of our times, in some way. Someone with great imagination, putting technology into things that we never thought possible before. Whenever Elon touched PayPal, Solar City, Tesla Motors, to SpaceX, all these are pioneering new things that have a huge impact on not only the marketplace, but on the way we think about things. His stamp in all these activities is just unparalleled. I can't see how you can have anyone else who personifies this in such a short period of time and with his talent.
How did you get into this? I mean, you know,
into cars?
Into cars, into taking over NASA, into, well, not taking over NASA, right. No, being a contractor for NASA.
For the record, we're
not
taking over NASA.
You're not taking over NASA. They're an independent organization. But you all are becoming a major provider of services for NASA. Obviously, kind of internet payments and payments generally. I mean, these are 3 completely different spaces. I think a lot of people would not take someone seriously if they kind of had a business plan in one of these.
Right. Sorry to eat.
Oh yeah, you take your time. What was your, I mean, did you always think you were going to be doing this? Or when did it dawn on you that you would try to revolutionize 3 industries?
Well, when I was in college, I didn't actually expect to do it. So it was not like this is some long fulfilled expectation. But when I was in college, I thought about what are the areas that would most affect the future of humanity, in my opinion. And the 3 areas were the internet, sustainable energy, and space exploration, particularly if humanity becomes a multi-planet species. You know, there's kind of like a pretty substantial bifurcation in our sort of future if we're either out there among the stars on multiple planets, or if we're confined to Earth until some obviously eventual extinction event. Yeah. I mean, something bad is bound to happen if you give it enough time. And civilization has been around for such a very short period of time that you know, these timescales seem like very long, but on a evolutionary timescale, they're very short. Yeah. You know, a million years on evolutionary timescale is really not much. And you know, Earth's been around for 4.5 billion years. Yeah. So that's, you know, a very tiny amount of time, really. But for us, that would be, I mean, can you imagine if human civilization continued at anything remotely like the current pace of technology advancement for 1 million years, where would we be? Yeah. I mean, I think we're either extinct or on a lot of planets.
Elon, what kind of crazy dream would persuade you to think of trying to take on the auto industry and build an all-electric car?
Well, it goes back to when I was in university. I thought about what are the problems that are most likely to affect the future of the world, or future of humanity. I think it's extremely important that we have sustainable transport and sustainable energy production. That sort of overall sustainable energy problem is the biggest problem that we have to solve this century, independent of environmental concerns. In fact, even if producing CO2 is good for the environment, given that we're going to run out of hydrocarbons, we need to find some sustainable means of operating.
You decided to build a space company. Why on earth would someone do that?
Got that question a lot, that's true. People would say, did you hear the joke about the guy who made a small fortune in the space industry, and he, you know, obviously started with a large one as the punchline. And so I tell people, well, I was trying to figure out the fastest way to turn a large fortune into a small one. And they'd look at me like, oh, is he serious?
And strangely, you were.
Well,
what happened?
It was a close call. I mean, things almost didn't work out. We came very close to failure, but we managed to get through that point in 2008. The goal of SpaceX is to try to advance rocket technology, and in particular to try to crack a problem that I think is vital for humanity to become a spacefaring civilization, which is to have a rapidly and fully reusable rocket.
Would humanity become a spacefaring civilization? So that was a dream of yours in a way from a young age, or like you dreamed of Mars and beyond?
I did build rockets when I was a kid, but I didn't think I'd be involved in this. It was really more from the standpoint of what are the things that need to happen in order for the future to be an exciting and inspiring one. And I really think there's a fundamental difference if you sort of look into the future between a humanity that is a spacefaring civilization that's out there exploring the stars on multiple planets. And I think that's really exciting. And compared with one where we are forever confined to Earth until some eventual extinction event.
So you've somehow slashed the cost of building a rocket by 75%, depending on how you calculate it. How on earth have you done that? NASA has been doing this for years. How have you done this?
Well, we've made significant advances in the technology of the airframe, the engines, the electronics, and the launch operation. I mean, there's a long list of innovations that we've come up with there that are a little difficult to communicate in this talk, but
because, not least because you could still get copied, right? I mean, you haven't patented this stuff. It's really interesting to me. You didn't patent because you think it's more dangerous to patent than not to patent.
Since our primary competitors are national governments, the enforceability of patents is questionable.
It's really interesting. But the big innovation is still ahead, and you're working on it now. Tell us about this.
Right. So the big innovation.
In fact, let's roll that video, and you can talk us through it. What's happening here?
Absolutely. So the thing about rockets is that they're all expendable. All rockets that fly today are fully expendable. The space shuttle was an attempt at a reusable rocket, but even the main tank of the space shuttle was thrown away every time. And the parts that were reusable took a 10,000-person group 9 months to refurbish for flight. So the space shuttle ended up costing $1 billion per flight. Obviously, that doesn't work very well for...
So what just happened there? We just saw something land?
That's right. So it's important that the rocket stages be able to come back, to be able to return to the launch site and be ready to launch again within a matter of hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Reusable rocket.
Yes. And so what a lot of people don't realize is the cost of the fuel, of the propellant, is very small. It's much like on a jet. So the cost of the propellant is about 0.3% of the cost of the rocket. So it's possible to achieve, let's say, roughly 100-fold improvement in the cost of spaceflight if you can effectively reuse the rocket. Wow. That's why it's so important. Every mode of transport that we use, whether it's planes, trains, automobiles, bikes, horses, is reusable, but not rockets. So we must solve this problem in order to become a spacefaring civilization.
Elon, how have you done this? These projects are so... These PayPal, SolarCity, Tesla, SpaceX, they're so spectacularly different. They're such ambitious projects at scale. How on earth has one person been able to innovate in this way? What is it about you?
I don't know, actually. I don't have a good answer for you. I work a lot.
He's worth over $11 billion. He's created game-changing businesses like PayPal, Tesla Motors, and SpaceX. He's the closest thing we have to real-life Iron Man. He's Elon Musk, and here are his 10 rules for success.
That third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up.
Really liking what you do, whatever area that you get into, given that even if you're the best, there's always a chance of failure. So I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing. If you don't like it, life is too short. If you like what you're doing, you think about it even when you're not working. I mean, it's something that your mind is drawn to, and if you don't like it, you just really can make it work, I think.
So many people try to talk me out of starting a art company. It was crazy. One good friend of mine collected a whole series of videos of rockets blowing up and made me watch those. He just didn't want me to lose all my money. We're doing these things that seem unlikely to succeed, and we've been fortunate, and at least thus far they have succeeded. Now is the time to take risk. You don't have kids. As you get older, your obligations increase. So and once you have a family, you start taking risk not just for yourself, but for your family as well. It gets much harder to do things that might not work out. So now is the time to do that before you have those obligations. So I would encourage you to take risks now. Do something bold.
How did you figure you were going to start a car company and be successful at it?
Well, I didn't really think Tesla would be successful. I thought we would most likely fail. But I thought that we at least could address the false perception that people had that an electric car had to be ugly and slow and boring like a golf cart.
But you say you didn't expect the company to be successful, then why try?
If something's important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. You focus on signal over noise. A lot of companies get confused. They spend money on things that don't actually make the product better. For example, at Tesla, we've never spent any money on advertising. We put all of the money into R&D and manufacturing and design to try to make the car as good as possible. I think that's the way to go. When I interview someone to work at the companies, would be to ask them to tell me about the problems that they worked on and how they solved them. And if someone was really the person that solved it, they'll be able to answer multiple levels. They'll be able to go down to the brass tacks. And if they weren't, they'll get stuck. And then you can say, oh, this person was not really the person who solved it, because anyone who struggled hard with a problem never forgets it. If you're creating a company or if you're joining a company, the most important thing is to attract great people. So either join a group that's amazing, that you really respect, or if you're building a company, you've got to gather great people. I mean, all a company is a group of people that have gathered together to create a product or service. And so depending upon how talented and hardworking that group is, and the degree to which they are focused cohesively in a good direction, that will determine the success of the company. So do everything you can to gather great people if you're creating a company. You've got to make sure that whatever you're doing is a great product or service. It has to be really great. And I go back to what I was saying earlier, where if you're a new company, I mean, unless it's like some new industry or new market that, if it's an untapped market, then you have more ability to, the standard is lower for your product or service. But if you're entering anything where there's an existing marketplace against large entrenched competitors, then your product or service needs to be much better than theirs. It can't be a little bit better, because then you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer, and they say, why would you buy it as a consumer? You're always going to buy the trusted brand unless there's a big difference. So a lot of times, entrepreneur will come up with something which is only slightly better. And it can't just be slightly better. It's got to be a lot better. Depending upon how well you want to do, and particularly if you're starting a company, you need to work super hard. So what does super hard mean? Well, when my brother and I were starting our first company, instead of getting an apartment, we just rented a small office and we slept on the couch. And we showered at the YMCA, and we're so hard up we had one computer. So the website was up during the day, and I was coding at night. 7 days a week, all the time. And I sort of briefly had a girlfriend in that period, and in order to be with me, she had to sleep in the office. So work hard, every waking hour. That's the thing I would say, particularly if you're starting a company. And I mean, if you do simple math, say okay, if somebody else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year as the other company. I came to the conclusion that if we can advance
the knowledge of the world, if we can do things that expand the scope and scale of consciousness, then we're better able to ask the right questions and become more enlightened, and that's really the only way forward.